In today's video, we're going to be discussing the PlayStation 5's 3D audio apparently being a big step forward for game audio, according to a developer. And on top of that, we are going to be discussing the DualShock 5 actually working and being usable on the PlayStation 5. I think that is something that a lot of people have been wondering. And we don't have official confirmation from Sony yet, but an interesting article I came across seems to have uncovered the fact that yes, the DualShock 4 will in fact be usable on the PlayStation 5. But starting here with the 3D audio, it says audio never really was considered as important to games as the visual component. As a result, hardware manufacturers often focused on enhancing the capabilities of the graphics card, while the audio components didn't really get significant upgrades over the course of different console generations. This is apparently changing with Sony's PlayStation 5 console, due to launch globally in less than a year from now. PS5 lead system architect Mark Cerny told Wired as much during the first spec reveal. As a gamer, it's been a little bit of a frustration that audio did not change too much between PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4 with the next console. The dream is to show how dramatically different the audio experience can be when we apply significant amounts of hardware horsepower to it. Officially, Sony shared that the PS5 features a custom 3D audio whose goal will be to immerse players with sounds coming from above, from behind, and from the sides. Now, a few developers have commented on the PS5 audio capabilities in a new interview with Games Radar. For instance, Samuel Justice, previously an audio director/designer for the Chinese Room, DICE, and Frictional Games, co-founder and supervising sound designer of Sweet Justice Sound, a company behind the sound in Fortnite, Half-Life, Alex, and Mortal Kombat 11, among others. This is what he had to say. I think the raw computing power needed to create realistic audio models is largely overlooked in the past. We have managed to create fairly good representations of acoustic modeling through a lot of trickery and clever techniques. The ability to fully realize automated 3D audio is a big step forward for game audio and will certainly result in much richer experiences. Ray tracing may also be used to improve audio, according to Marcus Klang, lead sound designer at Zoink Games. He goes on to say it can be used to improve the sense of realism by more accurate adjustments to the audio depending on the environment surrounding the player in real time. So this is what a few developers have went on record so far saying about the 3D audio inside of the PlayStation 5. And this is something that is not talked about too much because, yes, the truth of the matter is most people are just focused on the visuals. Most people, including a lot of us, are really just more focused on the overall power factor and what it's going to do for how we look at games, right? Like, what are we going to see? And that's what people are just most concerned about. But it's also worth noting that Sony seems to be putting a big emphasis on this 3D audio, or at least they're going to be. And it's nice to hear developers who are, who specialize in this area actually getting excited over it and going on record saying it is going to be a big step forward and it's going to be a big difference in what we hear now. And maybe this will be one of the standout things that the PlayStation 5 will end up offering. Of course, it's always just going to come down to how developers choose to utilize it and what they choose to do with it. And we hear that ray tracing is also going to have an impact on this, and we hear people talk about ray tracing all the time, and we only really hear them talk about it in terms of what it's going to do, again, for visuals. But I'm personally going to be really interested to see what Sony does with the 3D audio, or more specifically, what developers are going to do with the 3D audio capability. It is just nice to hear developers coming out here and saying that, yeah, it is going to be a pretty significant step forward. But moving on from that, we are going to be discussing the DualShock 4 working with the PlayStation 5. It says here, over the past few months, we dug up everything we could about PS5, including the PlayStation VR 2, PlayStation AI, and user-generated content. We have more information about the console, which we will be sharing with you soon, but first, the most exciting bit we are able to dig up. According to our sources, within two of the studios currently developing for PS5, DualShock 4 will work with PlayStation 5. Most PlayStation 5 games will support hardware backward compatibility, which means your DualShock 4 controllers will work. This is good news for those who only recently invested in a SCUF controller. That expensive piece of gaming gear won't be rendered obsolete in the next generation. The PlayStation 5 dev kits already supported DualShock 4, as evident by the leaked dev kit images from a few months ago. One of the devs confirmed to Respawn first that DualShock 4 is fully compatible with PlayStation 5. Of course, this doesn't mean PlayStation 5 won't have its own controller, but since DualShock 4 is compatible, the new PlayStation 5 controller can't differ too much from the DualShock 4 in terms of design and functionality. In fact, Sony recently filed a patent for a brand new controller design. The controller is pretty much identical to DualShock 4. The new controller comes with the same layout for its face buttons and has the same touchpad as DualShock 4. The only major changes to the new design are the lack of a PlayStation button at the front and the addition of 2 back paddles, both of which can presumably be programmed to perform functions of other buttons on the controller. The 2 paddles are located right behind the analog sticks. So that is something that we have actually not mentioned here on the channel yet. I'm sure most of you are well aware of it though. The most recent patent that was discovered in regards to a controller, which will presumably be the DualShock 5, is 2 back buttons, and this comes almost immediately after Sony announces the back button attachment for the DualShock 4. And so all of this kind of does coalesce together to tell you that yes, the DualShock 4 will be compatible with the PS5. I don't think anybody was expecting it not to be. However, we do have this source to go off of, Respawn first. If they are to be believed, they have connections who are telling them that yes, it will in fact work with the PlayStation 5. If you're somebody who bought one of these expensive controllers, as it mentions, or if you're just somebody who maybe will end up liking the DualShock 4 better than the DS5, then you'll be able to use it with pretty much all PS5 games. And the fact that we are seeing this patent with the back buttons right after Sony announces the back button controller attachment, it does tell me that they're releasing this attachment for that reason, so that anybody who wants to use a DualShock 4 with the PS5, they won't be missing those back buttons. They just have to buy the attachment, which is a little bit pricey, but they're offering it nonetheless, maybe just to kind of cover themselves, because obviously there's going to be a big difference between using a DS5 and having those 2 back buttons versus using a DualShock 4 without having access to those back buttons. So that's pretty much going to do it for the video, guys. Not too much going on right now. We know that CES is kicking off tomorrow, and there is a chance that Sony will be talking about PlayStation to some capacity. It could be absolutely nothing, could be the PlayStation 5 reveal. I think that is very, very doubtful. I would not expect that, but we've been hearing a lot of conversation going around saying that we can expect at least something PlayStation related from CES. So pay attention to that happening tomorrow. Obviously, I will be here to cover it for you if we do get anything. But I think that what we're hearing here is pretty good. It makes me excited to see what developers are going to do with the whole 3D audio thing and maybe utilizing ray tracing for audio and not necessarily just visuals, but maybe both. I'm not an audiophile by any means, but I certainly can appreciate a good sounding game when I hear one. And it's also nice to get, I guess we could say, the closest thing to confirmation that the DualShock 4 will work with the PlayStation 5. I think, again, most of us were expecting this, but right now, this is the best we have to go off of. So be sure to let me know your thoughts about this down in the comments below. What do you think about these developers talking about 3D audio in the PS5? Does it have you excited or not so much? Let me know why or why not. And what do you think about the DualShock 4 apparently working with the PlayStation 5? Be sure to leave the video a like if you did enjoy it. Really helps it out. Lets me know you guys enjoy the content. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and haven't already. Hit the bell notification icon so you never miss an upload, and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.